Is there a difference between occupation and defense?
Yes, there is a difference.
How do you feel about the rhetoric, of the, and actually saying, we are going to kill you. We are going to annihilate Israel. Does that offend you?
You will never hear me condemn a society that is fighting for its freedom.
Oh, so that's okay.
How they're going to resist in the face of one of the most brutal military occupations.
I don't think it's for you to either judge what you hear by extreme factions in Israel either, is it? Aaron Maté is a Jewish Canadian journalist and commentator, the son of Holocaust survivor and trauma and addiction doctor and author Gabor Maté. He is a prominent critic of Israel, pro-Palestinian and openly anti-Zionist. He describes Israel as an apartheid settler colonial state built on ethnic cleansing. He accuses it of genocide in Gaza and argues that Western governments and media serve as a propaganda arm for this war. How original. I am troubled by Jewish voices who use this language about Israel and yet are embraced as moral authorities by many who deny the Jewish right to self-determination. At the same time, I believe we cannot defend truth by refusing to face the arguments that are shaping the next generation. I am an author and a Jew who cares deeply about the survival of Israel and the safety of Jews everywhere, and I want to understand how someone like Aaron Maté sees justice for both Jews and for those who call themselves Palestinians. I am Israel Ellis, and this is The Unfiltered View. Our currency in this world of independent media is your engagement. Our goal is to seek the truth in a world gone mad. Please share this episode, subscribe to this channel, like, comment if you like it and you have something to say, and support our efforts to speak out. And if you have not done so already, please order, read, and review my book, The Wake Up Call: Global Jihad and the Rise of Antisemitism in a World Gone Mad, available on Amazon, but not allowed to market on Amazon. Imagine that. Aaron Maté, welcome to The Unfiltered View, and let's get right into it.
I'm a journalist. I work in independent media. Jewish, grew up in Canada, live in New York, and I'm happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
So, hey, listen, thank you for joining us. And you said you live in New York currently. Is that it? You're there now?
Yeah.
Okay. Good luck with that.
Thank you.
Lots of changes. Lots of things happening there. So, hey, Aaron, what is your relationship with your Jewish heritage?
Well, my whole identity is very shaped by the Nazi Holocaust. By the Nazi Holocaust, my father Gabor barely survived his first year of life under Nazi occupation, and that history shapes my whole identity. It shapes how I view the world. The lesson of never again, I try to take seriously, and I try to bring that to my work and everything that I do. And, the idea of protecting marginalized communities is very important to me, understanding what happened to my family because of our Jewish heritage. And so, being now in North America, where Jews, I think, are incredibly privileged, I see it as our duty to be there for marginalized communities, especially when marginalized communities are oppressed in our name. And that's how I view the modern state of Israel, as now embodying some of the supremacist values that hurt my family. And,
okay, so we're getting right into it. Yeah. We're not dancing around too much. I like a little foreplay. Yeah, I kind of like to warm things up a little bit.
Sorry to deny you that. Yeah, but yeah. But
you're like, but I mean, boom.
You're asking me my relationship with my Jewish identity. Well, now it's completely centered around Israel. And what I seem to be, it's just unspeakable, unfathomable crimes that I feel a duty to speak out against. And I felt that duty my whole life, really.
Crimes by whom, by the way?
Crimes by the Israeli state.
Not Hamas. Hamas didn't commit any crimes. Just curious.
I never said that Hamas didn't commit any crimes.
Okay, so but you said that you're shaped by the crimes, and then you said the crimes by the Israeli state. Can you tell me about the crimes by other people? Are there crimes by Hamas being committed?
There were atrocities committed by Hamas.
Okay. So it's crimes by Israel and crimes by the Palestinian Authority. Are there crimes by the Palestinian Authority being committed?
There absolutely have been crimes by the Palestinian Authority committed.
Great. So there's lots of crimes being committed against humanity, right? And you're there. And you're there because the Holocaust shapes you and because you feel that, hey, what is it that is it that this happened to the Jewish people because the Nazis went ahead and murdered 6 million people, and therefore, how do you make that connection? I'm just curious. How do you make that connection where you've become this, prominent advocate, anti-Israel, pro-Palestinian advocate, based on your experience with the Holocaust?
Well, first of all, I wouldn't even frame myself that way. I think I'm just pro-humanity. And
okay,
when you ask about the Nazi connection, look, to me, the Nazis were a unique historical evil, and no one rivals their crimes in terms of the scale of the evil, the industrial extermination that they undertook. So no analogy is perfect, but I do see some parallel.
And there's no comparison. So would you, by the way, I just want to get something straight here. Would you disagree with anyone who equivalates what happened in the Holocaust with what's going on anywhere in the world, including in Israel? When people accuse Israel, when they reverse the victim status of the Jewish people who perished in the Holocaust, and they use that term to equivalate, let's say, Netanyahu, they will call him a Nazi, or they will call Gaza a concentration camp, or they will call what's going on in Gaza a Holocaust. Do you disagree with that equivalency?
I think, look, nothing is purely equivalent. And I'm not sure what the word equivalate means, but nothing is purely equivalent. But I think it's actually a fair comparison. Absolutely. The Nazis were a supremacist society who believed them to be superior and that they had the right to go slaughter countless innocent civilians. The Israeli government is in my opinion, a Jewish supremacist state that views itself as superior, as having infinite more rights than the Palestinians of that land, whose land they stole. And yes, has committed mass murder, ethnic cleansing, and all other types of. So nothing is purely equivalent, but I do think it's a totally fair comparison. And there's also, it's a question of time. I mean, Israel right now has gotten away with crimes that are just, to me, unparalleled. The people of Gaza are trapped in a death camp. They can't leave. They don't have a military force to defend them. And for 2 years, they've been subjected to a near daily slaughter with using, massive bombs to destroy refugee camps, hospitals, all the institutions of civilian life, to the point where, and we've all seen the images, Gaza is completely rubble. So yes, I would never draw a perfect equivalence between Nazi Germany and Zionist Israel, but I do think there are plenty of comparisons to make, including down to the rhetoric, where Israeli leaders have talked about Palestinians all being animals. We're going to deny them all food and fuel. And this is not just coming from, the ultra extremists in Netanyahu's cabinet, Ben Gvir and Smotrich. This is also come from the defense minister, Yoav Gallant, and from Netanyahu himself, who declared the people of Gaza to be Amalek. So yeah, in terms of the fanaticism, the genocidal bloodlust, I do think there are fair comparisons to make.
Aaron, you make some points. There's a lot there to unpack. Do you mind? I didn't want to interrupt you. Can I interject here for a second?
Please, sure, yes.
Okay, so first of all, I just want to respond to a couple of things that you said. First of all, I don't think that any equivalency, any comparison to the Holocaust is justified, rationalized, responsible in any way, shape, or form. I think that it is an insult and it is a disgrace to the lives of 6 million Jews who perished in gas chambers and murdered by the Nazis. I think any attempt to reverse engineer the Jewish victim experience to do with the Holocaust is morally bankrupt. To say, this is call it something different. That's my opinion there. And wait, I want to get to some of the other points though, and I just wanted to say that. And it's okay, we could differ. We're allowed to differ.
Yes.
I'm just letting you know, as Israel Ellis, as the host of the show, I personally am offended I personally find it absolutely morally just disgusting when anyone does that, because there is no comparison. We cannot compare what happened in the Holocaust to anything that happened. It's a crime against humanity, and it doesn't. And I do not agree with that. But
are you offended?
But you talk about.
Can I ask you quickly? Are you offended by people taking the memory of the Holocaust and using that to justify imposing a starvation siege on the people of Gaza? Does that?
I am offended by anyone taking the Holocaust as it happened.
Yeah.
And the words that are used to commemorate the Holocaust and describe the Holocaust and using it for absolutely anything. Including anything. There is just no, I'm sorry. When you do that, I think that you minimize, and I think that you rationalize, and I think you equivalate something to something that is a total genocide of the Jewish people and was a crime against humanity, and nothing compares to it. Nothing, absolutely nothing. You talk about crimes, you talk about crimes of Israel. I'd like, for the purpose of this conversation, I just want to know if you're willing to do this. I'd like you to talk also about crimes against Israel. I'd like to know if you feel that there's been any crimes against Israel, if Hamas has perpetrated crimes against Israel, if the Palestinian Authority has perpetrated crimes against Israel, if Hamas has perpetrated crimes against Fatah, against them or their own people. Mm-hmm. I think that we can safely say that there are many crimes committed. War is a crime. Can you agree with that statement?
No, because your statement presumes that there's some parity here. Is if we're talking about two different sides. You have Israel on one side, the Palestinians on the other, two equal sides, crimes happen, so why single out one side? Well, why single out one side, which is Israel? Because Israel's the occupying power. It's waged one of the longest running military occupations in the world.
Not defense.
Israel.
I just want to, I want to ask you a question. Is there a difference between occupation and defense?
Yes, there is a difference. And
you say that Israel's an occupying power, although they're a sovereign state.
Yes, they're a
so they're a sovereign state, and yet they're an occupying power.
Let me finish the sentence.
Please do.
They're a sovereign state that doesn't even recognize their own borders, which should tell you right there that they're not.
What are their borders?
Their borders, internationally recognized, are pre-June 1967. And they refuse to acknowledge their own borders, which speaks to whether or not they're defending themselves or not. If you want to talk about Israel defending itself, what they would do is withdraw all the illegal settlers in the occupied West Bank, and they would end the occupation of the West Bank and the siege of Gaza, which has been going on long before October 7th. They don't do that because they're a belligerent occupying power.
Aaron, are Jews allowed to live in the West Bank?
Israel.
Am I allowed to live in Ramallah?
No, you're not allowed to live in Ramallah. I'm sorry.
Why? Why can't I live in Ramallah?
I'll tell you what. I'm sure you'd be free to live in Ramallah if you let the residents of Ramallah and every other Palestinian entity live with equal rights everywhere else, including from the homes that they lost, that were stolen from them in 1948. And that's the fundamental problem here. Israel is a Jewish supremacist state that was founded on ethnic cleansing, steals Palestinians' land, pushes millions of people into refugee camps, pushes them into the West Bank and Gaza, and then says, we're ruling over you, you have no rights. And you're saying that you're mad that you don't have the right to live freely in Ramallah when you've stolen people's land and then pushed them into enclaves and not even granting them a state in 22% of their homeland, which is the West Bank, Gaza, and East Jerusalem, which successive Israeli governments have refused to grant. So, I mean,
I just have to say something.
The answer to your question is, if you want to live in Ramallah, I mean, I'm sure that can be considered after you grant Palestinians their absolute minimal rights, which Israel has refused to grant. And if you look at the history of Israel, let's take one example, 1967, okay? Israel occupies the West Bank, Gaza, okay?
Why?
Hold on a second.
Why? You can't just make a statement. Say why.
If you want to argue, well, why is because,
why did we occupy?
Well, I'll answer the question. The earliest Zionists, people like David Ben-Gurion, they said publicly, yes, we'll accept the partition plan, but privately, we'll define the borders of what Israel is. And that's documented in plenty of Israeli historians, people like...
Aaron, what happened immediately after 1948? What happened immediately after the declaration of the State of Israel? Just tell me what happened.
So your talking point here is that after Israel declared itself to be a state, all the Arab countries just ganged up and attacked it. Okay, that's your talking point there.
They didn't just gang up.
So that's why, even before all the Arab countries intervened to attack, and by the way, if you read the Israeli historians, Benny Morris and others, the Arab attack was done with extreme reluctance.
Benny Morris has recanted.
No, he has not.
He has recanted. No, I've been speaking to him lately. The guy completely recanted what he said about 1948.
Israel, listen. Benny Morris has not recanted that there was ethnic cleansing. What Benny Morris believes is that was a good thing. He supports the policy. He doesn't retract the historical fact that it happened. He's just supporting the policy. In fact, his criticism, Israel, is that it didn't go far enough. That's what Benny Morris will tell you.
So
he said. So he's not the.
I'm going to let you finish. Go ahead.
I'm someone who doesn't support ethnic cleansing, and I don't believe that European Jews, for the crimes that they faced in Europe, had the right to go to Palestine and expel Palestinians and steal their land. And that was expanded in 1967. And the historical point I wanted to make there is Moshe Dayan, who you've heard of, very famous Israeli general. He was considered sympathetic to the Palestinian cause. And what he said about Palestinians after 1967, it's documented in a book that was written in Hebrew, but Noam Chomsky later cited it. And Moshe Dayan said about the Palestinians on the West Bank that basically, he said this was his decree: you will live like dogs, and whoever doesn't like it can leave. And that's basically been Israeli policy. Palestinians can live like dogs. If you don't like it, you can leave.
So I don't think that's policy, though.
No, that is policy. That's why why do you have illegal settlements that make
You've gone on. I've allowed you to go on here.
Okay, go ahead.
I got to tell you something. I'm a seeker of the truth.
Okay, good.
And by the way, you referenced as me expelling people. My name is Israel, but that doesn't mean I personally expelled anybody.
As a supporter of Israel, you're comfortable defending policy.
That's a very good point. As a supporter of Israel, because I'm a proud Jewish Canadian, because I'm a supporter of Israel, therefore I should be directly accused. Whether crimes or crimes didn't happen is very complex. Hold on, Aaron. Don't dismiss me.
If you're
just because crimes have happened. Hey, listen, Aaron, I'm going to tell you something. My personal feelings. War is hell. Any kind of goings on that displace people or where people are killed as a result of things, all sides are to complain. In fact, I hate even using the word sides. I think it's a horrible situation. And you and I both do not live in Israel.
Mm-hmm.
You and I both are not affected on a day-to-day basis. I think in the comfort of our intellectual proprietary, we can go ahead and we can say all we'd like to. But the fact is, Aaron, is that neither of us lives in Israel. I'll be there tomorrow, but neither of us lives in Israel. And the point is, it's a very highly complex situation. I, by the way, Aaron, I appreciate something about you. Right away, I'm telling you straight out. I appreciate that you value human life. And I appreciate that your humanity is important to you and that this affects you in a profound way and that you feel that silence is not an option and you have to speak out. And I feel the same way too. And I respect that because I also value human life. And when I experience a death cult, and when I experience jihadists, it really bothers me. But I'll tell you what really bothers me. What really bothers me, Aaron, for the life of me, I cannot understand how we, as educated people, how we in Canada or in the United States allow what is happening in another place of the world to spill over into our neighborhoods and into our streets, to infect our society and our values, where we partner, where the progressive people of Western civilization have partnered with death cults, have partnered with jihadists, have partnered with values that diametrically oppose everything they stand for. That is mystifying to me.
Okay. Well, this is where one has to distinguish who is the death cult. I think Israel is a death cult here. I think a society.
You think Israel's a death cult?
Yeah. And if I can finish my statement now.
Okay.
A society that presides over and openly celebrates mass murder in a death camp where 2 million people are trapped.
Sorry, but how do you make that generalization? How do you make a generalization? Because because what you're saying is untrue, Aaron. That's why I'm interrupting you.
I don't want to have to fight to speak. It's a fact that tens of thousands of people were killed in Gaza by Israel over the last 2 years. That's just a fact. Tens of thousands of those tens of thousands were children. The official toll of children is around 20,000. I think it's far higher. And the Israeli government killed those people. They did.
Okay.
They did. Yes, they did.
The Israeli government killed. And let me ask you a question.
Yes.
Let me ask you a question. Hamas attacks Israel. Where do they store their weapons? Where do they attack Israel from?
They attack Israel from Gaza. Are you arguing?
Where in Gaza, Aaron?
Wherever they can. Are you arguing?
Come on.
Israel.
Come on.
Let's get.
Where are the military establishments? You know as well as I do that they are stored in hospitals. They are stored under schools. Hey, evidence, Aaron. Okay. So you want to say, listen, you're generalizing and you're saying a society celebrates? Jews don't celebrate death, my friend.
Please.
You know that.
Are you kidding me? Have you seen Israeli television? There's open celebrations of death every single day.
Listen, Aaron, you're making a generalization of some type.
I'm going to finish my sentence.
All right. Go ahead. Sorry.
I don't want to have to fight with you over who can speak. If you watch Israeli television, if you've seen the clips on social media, there's countless clips of Israeli soldiers in Gaza dressing up in women's lingerie, celebrating the fact that they're destroying yet another civilian home. On television, pundits, politicians, all call for the extermination of the Palestinian people. There's footage of exercise classes, dancing to genocidal songs. This is a death cult society abetted by, unfortunately, North American Jews who have lined up behind this death cult. And I feel compelled as a North American Jewish person to speak out against it. And I honestly...
How do you feel about children dressed in Hamas jihadist uniforms with guns and celebrating in the street when candies are given out, when Jews are killed? How do you feel about when the hostages were handed over, how Hamas humiliated them?
You will never.
How do you feel about the rhetoric, and actually saying, we are going to kill you. We are going to annihilate Israel.
إسرائيل دولة لا مقام لها على أرضنا. إحنا الدولة لابد أن نزيلها لأنه بالفعل هي تعتبر كارثة أمنية وعسكرية وسياسية للأمة العربية والإسلامية يجب أن تنتهي. لذلك إحنا لا نخجل من نقول ذلك بكل قوة.
The commitment of terrorists. How does that offend you? I'm just curious.
You will never hear me condemn a society that is fighting for its freedom.
So that's okay.
You will never hear me.
Come on.
It's not for me to sit and judge people from the comforts of North America, how they're going to resist in the face of one of the most brutal military occupations.
I don't think it's for you to either judge what you hear by extreme factions in Israel either, is it?
Well, except they're the occupying power. And this gets back to the issue of parity. Look, there have been multiple opportunities to resolve this whole issue. All the Arab states.
Okay. Talk to me about that.
Let me finish the sentence now. Okay. I presume that in your heart, you do not want to bring suffering on the Palestinian people and you want them to live in freedom. Is that a fair statement?
I think it's a fair statement that you and I both agree that we love life.
Okay. But my question specifically, do you want freedom and self-determination for the Palestinian people as well?
There's some criteria here. I'm going to ask you a question with a question. Do you believe that Israel has a right to exist? Hold on. Israel's the sovereign nation state here, not Palestine.
Okay.
There is no Palestinian state. And there is no Palestinian people, Aaron. So I'm going to ask you a question. Do you believe that Israel is a sovereign nation state who has a right to self-determination?
Okay. I will answer your question, but I find it unfortunate you wouldn't answer mine. But
answer that, and then I'm going to...
Okay. I do believe that Israel is a sovereign nation state. Yes.
Do you believe that as a sovereign nation state, they have a right to defend themselves?
A sovereign nation state has a right to defend themselves. Yes.
Very good.
But I do not believe that.
I believe that people who identify as Palestinians, that they should have a right to express themselves, and they should have a right to identify. I believe that if you want to identify as a they, that you should be able to identify as a they.
Israel, yes or no? Do you believe Palestinians have the right to freedom and self-determination?
I believe that any person, I would like to believe, growing up here in Western society, I would like to believe that any person has the right to express themselves.
You answered my question.
However, when you use terrorism and you use violence.
No, okay. Do you believe
what do you want me to say?
Okay.
Israel, wait, Aaron, I want to answer your question. But
I'm waiting for the answer.
I want to answer. Okay. Yeah. I believe that people who identify as Palestinians have a right to identify as Palestinians. When you talk about, do I believe that Palestinians, I'm sorry if I'm frustrating you, but with the truth, when you say that Palestinians have the right to a life, you're referring to them as a nation state. They aren't a nation state.
Okay, so you're denying Palestinians the right to self-determination. That's what I'm hearing from you then. That they don't.
Hold on. I think that there's a pathway forward.
It's a pathway. Either you have a right or you don't. Okay, either someone has the right.
Who gives you the right? Where does that right come from?
Well, in the case of the international system, there's been a consensus.
What international system?
I'm going to go back to. It's unfortunate you can't just give me a straight answer, but I'm going to go back to the original point I was making. There have been, what I said was, and what you took issue with, and let's try to get to some substantive issues here, because we have much different views of this whole conflict. So let's try to get to some substance. Okay, there's a global consensus. Everybody in the world supports it. Palestinians have the right to self-determination, and practically, what that has meant is what I think is a huge compromise for Palestinians.
When you say everyone, Aaron, because you generalize,
every year,
the entire world, the Christian world, the entire Christian world agrees that.
Every year at the UN General,
everyone, you've surveyed everyone in this world
I have,
to determine that everyone agrees with that. I just wanted to make sure. Go ahead.
Okay, according to polls, according to annual votes at the UN General Assembly, every single year.
There's a body.
Well, it represents the world. You're asking about everybody.
It's a biased representation.
Okay. Every year at the General Assembly, there's a vote on the Okay. I'm going to finish my statement now. There's a vote on the Palestinian question. Okay. And it's a vote of, do Palestinians deserve a state of their own? And every single year, the vote is basically the entire world, including all the U.S. allies, except for a few states, Israel and a tiny group of islands, like Palau and Micronesia. Okay?
Sorry, Israel doesn't agree with it?
Israel doesn't. Israel votes every.
I think you're completely wrong, my friend.
Okay, you want to look it up? Israel fact check.
You're talking about a two-state solution.
I'm talking about a two-state solution. So if I can,
absolutely, Israel has agreed time and time again to a two-state solution. If you look at the Oslo Accords, if you look at and I got to tell you, probably about 47% of Israelis agree with the two-state solution.
Okay.
Hey, listen, Aaron, whether or not I agree with it or not, I'm going to let you in on a secret. I don't think we have any other choice.
Okay, thank you for sharing your opinion, but let me make my statement.
I think that we have to find a way here into the future if we're going to have peace.
Okay, you invited me on.
Do you want peace, Aaron? Would you like Israel? Do you believe that Jews and do you believe that Palestinians and Israelis should live side by side?
Okay, Israel, listen. You're going to have to let me finish my point rather than.
Do you believe that Israelis and Arabs should live side by side in peace?
Okay.
Go ahead.
So, the initial point I was making is that there's a global consensus on how to resolve this issue. It's two states. Give the Palestinians what I think is a huge compromise for them. This is what I was saying before. A state in just 22% of their stolen homeland. The West Bank, Gaza, East Jerusalem. Every single year, write down your objections, Israel, and then I'm happy to field all of them.
All right.
Okay.
Go ahead. You use words. You have to be careful with the words you use.
Thanks for the tip.
Stolen?
Thank you. Yes.
Yeah.
If you want to go down that road, write it as a follow-up.
No, but you generalize and you use false words.
Write down your follow-up.
Go ahead.
I'm happy to field them, but you have to let me finish my point, okay?
Aaron, make your point.
But your objection is noted. I acknowledge that you object to the term stolen homeland. Okay. Anyway, there's a global consensus around that. Everybody supports it. At the UN General Assembly, contrary to what you suggested, there's a vote every year. Only Israel and the U.S. oppose the idea of a Palestinian state, okay? The Arab League has offered this to Israel for many decades. In 2002, you can look it up, something called the Saudi Peace Plan, the Arab League peace offer. The entire Arab League offered Israel full normalization, saying, we'll recognize you All you have to do is withdraw your illegal settlements in the West Bank and create a Palestinian state in the West Bank, Gaza, East Jerusalem. It's called the compromise. For Palestinians, it's very painful because you won't agree with this, but if you talk to a Palestinian, they'll show you the keys to their homes that they have in what is now Israel that were stolen from them and that they were expelled from via a vicious ethnic cleansing campaign by Zionist forces in 1948. So hold on a second. The entire world has accepted it. The Palestinian Authority has accepted it. Palestinian Authority formalized their acceptance of this with the PLO in 1988. Even officials from Hamas have accepted this. I can give you countless examples of over the last 20 years, leaders of Hamas saying, we would accept a Palestinian state in the pre-June 1967 borders. Now, what they won't do is recognize Israel, but I can't blame them for that because Israel stole their land. So you're not going to say, yes, I'm going to just recognize the state that stole my land. But by accepting a Palestinian state within the West Bank, Gaza, East Jerusalem, they're tacitly accepting the Israeli borders on the other side. So you have a global consensus behind what's called the two-state solution. It's only Israel that has refused to accept that. All of them, whether it's Netanyahu or the labor governments that preceded him. The best offer was made by, for a Palestinian state was made by Ehud Olmert in 2008 or so. Now, he never formally presented the Palestinians with a map, but what he outlined was basically Palestinians get a state, but Israel still gets to keep some of the major West Bank settlement blocks that make a Palestinian state absolutely impossible. So no Israeli government, whether it's Labor, Likud, whatever it is, has ever offered Palestinians the absolute bare minimum. They won't even accept a Palestinian compromise.
Aaron,
so going back to your earlier question about resistance, in that context, when you're a Palestinian and you're occupied by an occupier that has refused all possible compromises, your only answer is military force. And that's why I will never condemn people who resist. Tactically, I think.
So, Aaron, I got to tell you, you're all over the place.
One more point. No, I'm not.
I'm sorry, you're way all over the place.
No, I'm not. I'm not making a very simple point.
Yeah, you're fundamentally incorrect.
Okay,
like it's okay if you're saying what you want to say because you really believe it, but the fact though is factually, historically, you're just way out in left field. What happened with the Oslo Accords? What did Yasser Arafat say?
Okay.
What was Clinton pissed? No, hold on a second. I'm asking you some questions.
I'll answer your question.
Happened with the Oslo Accords? Why did they fail? Why did we not end up with this peace deal?
Okay.
That Israel agreed to?
Why? I'll answer your
fundamentally. Give me the one answer.
Okay, I'll answer your question by quoting to you the former Israeli Foreign Minister Shlomo Ben-Ami.
You're not answering the question. I'm asking you why it failed. It failed for a fundamental reason.
Let me talk. Listen, if you want to if you want to give your answer, you're free to. But I'm going to give you mine. I'm going to give you mine by quoting Shlomo Ben-Ami. You've heard of him. Okay. He's the former Israeli. He's the former Israeli Foreign Minister under Ehud Barak. Okay. He was involved in the Oslo process. He was right there. Do you want to know what he said about Oslo? You can look it up. He said Oslo was founded on a neo-colonialist basis. That's his term. A neo-colonialist basis, where the Palestinian Authority in the West Bank was basically treated as a subcontractor, doing the dirty work for us. That's also what Yitzhak Rabin, the father, the Israeli architect of the Oslo Accords, said as well. That the Palestinian Authority will do all the things we don't want to do. We don't want to have to police these unruly Palestinians in the West Bank. They'll do it for us, and we're going to give them less than a state. Those were Rabin's words 30 years ago this year, right before
those were not Rabin's words.
Israeli. We're going to give them less than a state.
Aaron,
let me finish. If you want to know your
I've been letting you finish for a while, but you told me to take notes. I took some notes, and I really want to tell you what I have to say.
If you want to
or do you want to just keep going?
No, listen, I'm the guest on your show, Israel, so I need to be able to finish my answer. And I try to be concise. I'm not being very long-winded.
Okay, so be concise.
You want to know why Oslo failed, to answer your question, because the Israeli architects of Oslo recognized that it was a neo-colonial venture that would not give Palestinians their own state, that would use them as subcontractors to continue the occupation by other means, and by keeping the West Bank settlement blocks that make Palestinian life and Palestinian statehood impossible. That's why Oslo failed.
Okay, listen, that's not true. Okay, that's an incorrect representation of historical facts. The fact is that Oslo failed for one reason, for the same reason it's failing today. And that is the refusal to recognize Israel's right to exist and to recognize Israel's right to a defense. And okay? And the Palestinians, and Israel, time and time again, under peace treaties, okay, Israel has constantly said, okay, hey, you got to let go of things. First of all, you got to redo your syllabus of education, not to stop demonizing Jewish people. Number one. Number two is you got to stop the pay for slave policy. You got to stop paying terrorists to go ahead, lifetime pensions. They pay terrorists lifetime pensions to commit murder. All right. That's got to stop. You got to recognize that Israel has a state, has the right to exist and to live in peace with Israel. And this is the fundamental problem, Aaron. The fundamental problem is that there's been a outright, complete blanket refusal. It is a religious, ideological refusal to allow Israel to exist. But I want to also just address something else. You used the word no, because you had to say, and I just want to get on with this. I want to use the word stolen. You talk about stolen land. How do you explain the hundreds and thousands, the 2 million plus people, Palestinians, who are Arab Israeli citizens?
So
where did their land get stolen?
Okay.
And what about the 850,000 or nearly 1 million Jews that were, that faced expulsion, okay, forced expulsion from Iraq and Iran and Syria and Egypt following the declaration of Israel's state? What happened to them?
Okay. Israel, I'm going to answer.
That doesn't matter,
okay,
Aaron, right? That doesn't matter.
No, I'm not saying it doesn't matter. But I'm saying is whatever happened to Jews from Arab countries doesn't justify harming the hair on a single Palestinian child's head. So this is whataboutism. But let me answer your points in turn. Okay.
Justice is a strange word, by the way. It's highly complex.
Thanks. You made a series of.
It's a difficult thing we're in.
Sure.
Because we have to find a way to move forward, Aaron. Okay, and you say, and I say, and everything in history is what it is, and you want to believe what history is. But the fact is, Aaron, is as a lover of life, you need to recognize the death cult.
Israel. It's a nice bar mitzvah speech. Let me make a point, okay?
Bar mitzvah speech.
Yes.
Okay. Humor, minimize. Go ahead.
You talked about no Palestinian negotiators ever recognize Israel's right to exist. Israel's a right to exist is a concept. It doesn't exist in international law. States have rights, and Israel as a sovereign state does have rights. Okay, it is a recognized state by the UN, and it has rights, but no state has a right to exist. And the term, a right to exist, if you look at the history of it, if you read the work of Noam Chomsky, he talks about this. The term right to exist, it never existed until about the 1970s. And what was happening then was the Palestinian Authority under Arafat, along with the Arab states, were coming around to recognizing that Israel was not going to be defeated, that they had to accept it. And then so they were moving towards accepting the two-state solution. That's why in 1976, for example, there was a resolution at the UN Security Council that the U.S. vetoed, calling essentially for a two-state solution. It was the U.S. and Israel that opposed that. In fact, Israel responded to that resolution by bombing a Palestinian refugee camp in Lebanon, just to show how unfavorable they were to the idea of a Palestinian state. So during this period, you start hearing about Palestinians have to accept Israel's right to exist. Why should any Palestinian recognize not only Israel's existence, that's one thing, but also their right to exist? No one has a right to exist in someone's stolen home. If someone steals my land,
you use words that are incorrect. I don't want to interrupt you. I don't want to interrupt you, Aaron.
Let me finish my point then. I didn't interrupt you just now. Let me finish my point. Now, you also said that, what about all the Palestinian citizens of Israel that still live there? So congratulations.
Israeli Arabs.
Okay. They don't refer to themselves as
yes, they do, and they love Israel, and they love Israel.
Really?
Aaron, when was the last time you were in Israel? When was the last time you spoke to business people who live in Israel under Israeli and under the Israeli government? They love living in Israel.
Okay.
All right.
I know plenty of Palestinian.
You think they want to live under the Palestinian Authority?
I never said they want to live in the Palestinian Authority, but I know plenty.
It's like you living in New York right now.
Okay, please. I know plenty of Palestinians who loathe the Israeli government, because they stole their homes and they keep their people under occupation and genocide. But let me finish. So basically, yes, Israel didn't expel all the Palestinians in 1948. That's true. but they don't deserve credit for that. Like, you don't deserve credit for not stealing someone's home. But the fact is, there are hundreds of thousands of Palestinians whose homes were stolen and have, according to Israel, no right to return. And not only do they not have no right to return, they have no right now to live, because Israel refuses to grant them even their minimal rights under occupation in the West Bank and Gaza. And until you resolve that issue, you're going to have perpetual conflict. You raised the question of Jews being expelled from Arab states. For many years, for a long time, Jews and Arabs lived in relative harmony inside these Arab countries. It's only when Israel came along.
Very much so.
And it's only when Israel came along and started expelling Palestinians, stealing their homes.
No, sorry.
And also, and by the way,
by the way, Aaron, what happened in 1948? What did the Arab countries who were attacking that you kind of just, minimized?
I don't want to continue this interview.
What did they tell the Arab residents of Israel?
Okay.
What did they tell them?
I don't want to continue this interview if you're going to keep
Aaron, what did they tell where did they tell the residents of Israel? What did they tell the Arab residents? What did they tell them?
Well,
they warned them.
Okay.
They said, we're going to attack Israel. Leave your homes.
Okay. Listen, Israel.
They didn't say that. They didn't tell them to leave their homes.
I need to be able to finish my points. The part you're forgetting or you're omitting, if you don't know about it, in terms of the history of Jews coming from Arab states, was that some of that was done by Zionist terror. Read the Israeli historian Avi Shleim, whose family comes from Iraq. You know what the Zionist militias did there? They literally planted bombs in a synagogue, committing a terror attack to encourage Jews in those states to flee to what was then Palestine, becoming Israel. So if you care about the Jews that came from Arab states, you also have to take account for the fact that some of this was encouraged by Zionist terror, including bombing synagogues, which I presume you don't support. And in 1948, yes, there's in Hebrew school, I was taught this. We were told that the reason the Palestinians fled is because their Arab leaders told them to leave. Okay. It's just such a myth. You read Benny Morris, who calls the policy in Hebrew, it translates to ethnic purification. That's what Zionist forces engaged in through terror attacks. And that's what caused Palestinians to flee. And even if
Aaron, I find it interesting that when I make a claim of something, it's a myth, but when you make a claim of something, it's truth.
Correct.
I want to propose something.
The Zionist mythology. Yeah.
I want to propose something so the remainder of our time is productive, Aaron. It goes without saying that since 1948, well before your time, well before my time, that many things happened as a result of the Holocaust, okay, and Israel was established. And hey, I'm not saying that everything is okay at all. But I am going to say that you have a different belief system than I do. And we've read some of the same material. We've read different material, and we've chosen, for whatever reason, you've chosen to believe what you believe. I choose to believe what I believe. But let's bring this right fast forward to today. Okay. And let's talk constructively about the future, because the way things are going right now in this disagreement that happens between people, like it's happening between us, it can't lead to anything productive. It just leads to the perpetuation of hate, and it leads to the perpetuation of violence. And I don't think either of us want that. Is that correct? Do you want to see a world of peace?
I do want to see a world of peace. Yes, I do.
Good. So let's for a moment take a breath.
Okay.
Let's say
practically, Israel, I've already given you the practical solution.
Okay.
And for Palestine.
So fine. That's the practical solution. Let me ask you a question. Today we announce a two-state solution.
Yeah.
Today we give you everything you want. Everything you want. We give the Palestinians or whoever, Arabs. And by the way, I got to tell you, Aaron, I've got friends of mine who are Arab Israeli. When I'm in Israel, we sit, we talk, we have a coffee. Okay. I'm in Israel fairly often. I don't know how often you go to Israel, but I speak to the people.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. When I wrote my book based on speaking to people, having conversations in cafes, speaking with Arab Israelis, speaking with Israelis. You know what? Any reasonable person, Aaron, what do people want? They just want to live in peace.
Sure.
All right. Yeah. That's what they want. Do you have I have a family. Do you have a family?
Well, I don't have kids yet. No, I'd like to.
Okay, great. Well, good luck. I mean, it's great. It's a beautiful thing. And when you have children, Aaron, you'll understand that you just want the best for your children. You want the best, live in peace. And that's what we got to strive for.
Yes.
I want to talk about something. I want to take this in a bit of a different direction, Aaron, because I don't think we're going to get anywhere. Okay. I don't think we're going to get anywhere. Back and forth. It's not going to happen. I'm not going to change how you feel. You're not going to change how I feel.
But I want to make one practical point. I'll say just to underscore this. There's only one globally endorsed solution. To me, it's a really imperfect one because it still perpetuates this idea of a Jewish ethno-state, which personally, I don't think has the right to exist. I don't think you have the right to exist as a state where one...
Okay, Aaron...
I'm going to finish my point. Where one group has more rights than other people. But it's not about what I want.
But hold on, what about America? What happens in America? Do you think America has the right to exist?
States have rights when they exist.
Is there a superiority in America?
Not legally, no. That's the point. We're supposed to be equal here. Yes. Like Christian.
You think that there's a legal superiority issue going on in Israel? You think it's legal?
The the Jewish people. I have more.
You think Arab Israelis have different rights than Jewish Israelis?
Yes, they do. Talk to.
Well, you're obviously very misinformed.
And the problem is, what you're omitting then from your framing is that you have millions of Palestinians in the West Bank, Gaza, who live under Israeli rule with no rights whatsoever. In fact,
Aaron, you and I are not going to resolve this here. So you and I are not, nothing we say matters today. Nothing. But I want to talk about the future, Aaron.
Wait a minute. Listen, hold on to it. I'm going to finish my point. There is if you actually want a practical solution, it's one that I think is a massive compromise for Palestinians. And it's Palestinians getting just 22% of their historic homeland. I think it's their stolen homeland.
Okay, fine. They have it. They have my vote. They have my vote. Aaron, discussion over.
Okay, so you agree with that.
I give it to you all. I got nothing. You think I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go, hello, BB, give them what they want. Listen, let me tell you something. No one's listening to Israel Ellis, okay? I have absolutely zero influence over the policy. But what I do have is I do have a voice, just like you have a voice. And I want to talk about today. And I want to talk about the spread of hate today.
Okay, and then we're going to wrap. Okay. And then we're going to wrap this up. Okay, go ahead.
All right. You seem, Aaron, you seem to get a little bit anxious when you're not heard and you're not sort of, when you can't get out, you have to get out.
Polite. Listen, I've tried to be polite. But don't be condescending. You've interrupted me a lot. You invited me on your show and you've given me a lot of sermons, which I'm fine to listen to.
I don't think I'm giving you a sermon, Aaron.
Okay, I think you are. So anyway, I'm not anxious.
Aaron, I want to ask you a question.
I don't want to engage in a useless back and forth.
Aaron, please.
And I don't want to constantly be interrupted. So anyway, let's talk about hate.
I really want to help here. I want you to help me understand something. Okay. And I want to see if we can together have a... I'd like to believe that you're a reasonable person. I'd like to believe that I'm a reasonable person.
Okay.
And something I've been thinking a lot about lately is trying to make sense of the spillover of what's happening in Israel, into the streets and values of Western civilization.
Okay.
I want to understand the steadfast partnership that progressives have with jihadists and how that plays out on our neighborhood streets. Now, listen to me. I want to understand why our values are being compromised. American values, Canadian values, Western civilization values are being compromised in this type of partnership. And why, and what can we do about it? What can we do to stop the protests, the tropes, the ancient anti-Jewish, anti-Semitic tropes that are starting to lead to generate violence? This is my concern. My concern, Aaron, is that people need to learn to live side by side.
Yes.
These are things. Okay. Terrible things. Listen, there's terrible things going on in the world. I'm worried about what's infecting our society here. The values. I love Canada. I love America. And I don't understand it. Explain it to me. Why are we destroying ourselves from the inside? Why are we eating ourselves up from the inside by bringing this infectious virus of extremism and radicalization into our communities? Why aren't we just talking? Why? Yes, we could talk, but why are we infecting our society through these partnerships with these death cults and these ideologies that don't serve the interests and values of Western civilization. I'd like you to explain to me that because there are people like yourself out there that don't say enough against this stuff. In fact, that support it. And I'd like to know why you would support it.
Okay, Israel, listen, I don't even know if there's a point in us having this discussion because we're just in different galaxies. What you say is a death cult and supporting terror and jihadism.
Oh, how about people marching down the street saying death to America, death to Jews? Okay, people burning the U.S. flag, the American flag.
Let's take the worst. Let's take it.
No, let's take what happens every single day in front of my office building here in downtown Toronto. Okay. What's happening in New York City? Okay, and let's talk about not an anomaly, not a difference. It's happening every day. The hate, the syllabus of hate, the encampments at campuses. It is just not decent. It is an indecency that has infected our society. I'd like your opinion on that.
Okay. I really hear you feel very strongly about that. The problem is I look at those same protests and I see something far differently. Okay. I see people supporting a freedom struggle, which is the most noble thing. The most noble cause, I think, on the planet is for people struggling for their freedom. And that to me is what the Palestinian cause is. I don't know if you've been to the West Bank or Gaza, been to the Palestinian areas, but I've been there. And I've witnessed for myself the evil of the occupation. It's pure evil. Okay. It's pure sadism, what Israel does to Palestinians. And so around the world, you have people increasingly appalled by that occupation, especially after 2 years of what we on our side consider to be genocide. I'm sure you disagree with that, but that's how we see it. When we see daily images of children being shredded to pieces by U.S.-made bombs dropped by Israel. People are upset by that.
How about Nigeria?
Okay, this is whataboutism.
No. How about Nigeria? Nigerians are murdering Christians. Right now, as we speak, there's a genocide going on in Nigeria. Where are you leading the protests against what's going on in Nigeria? Where are you? What about Russia? What about Sudan?
Okay.
Have you seen what is happening in Sudan right now?
I have seen it, and it's horrible.
Oh my God!
The difference is,
where are you? Why aren't people marching down the streets?
Because the difference is because nobody supports it. First of all,
because no one gives a shit.
No, I'm sorry,
Aaron.
I'm sorry.
No one cares.
I'm sorry. Nobody in positions of power here support genocide in Sudan, for example. And also, listen, Israel, I'm not Sudanese. I'm not Nigerian. I'm not Russian.
Okay. But you're not Israeli either, by the way. You're not Palestinian. Okay. I got news for you.
Yes. I'm certainly not Palestinian. The main difference is that, first of all, these crimes are being done in our name as North Americans with our tax dollars. We as North Americans, especially if you live in the U.S., our tax dollars fund this genocide, which makes us responsible for it. It's
our tax dollars fund? What are you talking about?
We pay for the bombs that are dropped on Palestinian children, which gives us...
We also paid for the tunnels that Hamas terrorists used to store weapons and attack Israel. Listen, I'm sorry, have I said something that offended you, Aaron, because you don't agree? But that same money...
You're not offending me.
You're saying that our money is being used to genocide against children? Come on. Aaron, do you think what's going on in the streets of North America, do you think it's okay? Do you think there's a better way, maybe,
I'm encouraged
of dialogue?
I'm encouraged by the outpouring of support for...
Okay, do you think it's about Israel, or do you think it's anti-Semitic? Do you think it becomes anti-Semitic?
Israel, what do you think?
I think it becomes anti-Semitic.
Okay, so listen... If you believe...
What do you think? I'm interested, Aaron, in what you think.
People are moved by a freedom struggle, and people are outraged by the visuals they get every single day of massacred Palestinian civilians.
Okay, but does that relate to me? Does someone have a right to come up to me in the street and call me a baby killer? And say, fuck off, Jew, and go home? Do you think that's okay, by the way? That someone beats up a visibly Jewish person.
If you support killing babies... You have every right to be called a
absolutely
baby
not. If there was a campaign against killing babies, that would be different. No, I don't. And you know that's bullshit. And you know that's a generalization.
If you support killing babies,
there is unfortunate, horrible collateral damage that has happened in this war.
Let me finish.
Why does it mean I support killing? Of course I don't.
You don't have the right to be called an ethnic slur. Okay. And
Thank you.
So I oppose that. But I think you're speaking about, to the extent that does not represent the majority of the
Aaron.
it doesn't.
Once again,
I've been in it my whole life. I've been in it my whole life.
What happened at the synagogue in Upper West Side that was holding a nefesh b'nefesh talk about people going to Israel, and protesters came in, disrupted it, and Mamdani then turned around and said that you cannot have these types of discussions happening, and he put them down. Really? Come on. There are so many anti-Jewish things.
The synagogue was not just a Jewish place of worship. It was promoting migration to illegal settlements in the occupied territories, which takes it out of the realm of just being a religious institution.
It wasn't promoting migration to legal. It was promoting. It was a meeting of nefesh b'nefesh to talk about immigration to make aliyah to Israel,
to the occupied territories, to settlements.
No,
yes,
no, absolutely. Yeah. Let me ask something. Were you there? Were you there?
I did not go, but I've read about it.
But you have no idea. You believe that this is a rise in anti-Semitism being caused by the rhetoric and tropes out there. For example, the river to the sea. When someone yells river to the sea, and they, what does that mean to you? When someone says river to the sea, what does that mean?
First of all, let me make 3 points. Look it up. Israel, that synagogue was promoting migration to settlements in the occupied territories. So this is not just some religious gathering. Okay. That's a
first of all, people can gather and talk about anything they want. It's America. They have free speech.
People can protest too. Yes. Free speech. People go to the synagogue. And
there's protest and then there's violence.
Okay. Yes.
There's where that line gets crossed, yes, and you know that line has been crossed.
No, I do not know that. I don't support violence, but I do support protest against illegal settlement.
I want to ask you, what does the river to the sea mean?
Okay. Well, the river to the sea means basically, rather than having a Jewish ethno-state where one group has more rights than other people, in this case, the indigenous people of that land whose homes were stolen, everybody should have equal rights. That's what Palestine, that's what from the river to the sea means. Now, you know who else said it from the river to the sea? And I'm curious if you object to this. It's in the Likud charter. The party of Netanyahu that he comes from, the Likud party, says from the river to the sea, there will only be Jewish sovereignty. Okay. Do you support that river to the sea, or do you also see that?
Well, first of all, Israel is a nation state, a sovereign nation state that extends from the river to the sea. So,
okay.
Yes. So when I see the depiction, but we both know what that trope means. Okay?
It means freedom. It means freedom for the people whose
freedom at what cost?
Well, listen, at the cost, I'll tell you at what cost. At the cost of equality for everybody.
At the cost. The here. What happened to the Jews in that river to the sea? When I see someone with a pen of a landmass of Israel with the Alas Hamas in the middle, what does that mean? What is that symbol saying to me? A Jewish person.
What it means is equality, and you as a Jewish person and me as a Jewish person no longer being superior to Palestinians. That's what that means. Right. Now listen,
but you know that's not the intent.
Unfortunately for me, I don't think it's going to happen because Israel is a state.
Aaron,
hold on a second. Let me finish my point. It's a very powerful state. So I'd love to see from the river to the sea equality. I don't think it's going to happen. But my problem with you is Israel. Even though there is already a Jewish supremacist state that exists, Israel's not even content with what it is internationally recognized to have. It also wants to steal and destroy even more Palestinian land in the West Bank and Gaza. And as long as you have that, you're going to have, by the way...
Are you a supporter of gay rights?
Let me finish my point, Israel.
Aaron, are you a supporter of gay rights?
Let me finish my point before you deflect more. As long
as
you
I just want to know, are you a supporter of...
The biggest cause of anti-Semitism today are people acting in the name of the so-called Jewish state, supporting mass murder of innocent civilians, and getting people fired, getting people canceled, getting people expelled for dissenting from their genocide, for opposing their genocide. That is the biggest cause of anti-Semitism today.
The biggest cause of anti-Semitism today, Aaron, is anti-Semites.
Yes. Okay.
That's it.
And so
people who scapegoat the Jews. This has been happening for many years, long before you. It's what happened in Germany, and it's now happening here. Can I have a same-sex relationship and be married to a man, or a woman married to a woman in Ramallah? Can I live in Ramallah and have that relationship?
I'm not up on gay laws in in Ramallah right now. But what
really,
I know do Zionist Jews respect the right of Palestinians to have a life, to live on this earth? No, they don't.
Listen, you're talking about two different, but I'm asking you a question. These are values. These are values of America, right?
Well, values of
we fought very hard so that every person of every orientation and ethnicity could.
How about live? How about live a life? Does Israel respect the rights of Palestinians to live?
Aaron, if Ramallah, if we have a two-state solution, and we have something called Palestine in that two-state solution,
about gay people.
Will gay people be able to live together in that two-state solution? These are values of Western civilization,
yes, they will.
And I want to know from you.
Yes, they will.
If
because
that's
you know
going to
why
happen.
Israel, yes, okay, and this is my final answer.
Yes, what?
Yes,
gay people will be able to do that.
Yes, they will, because you know why? Israel won't be killing them anymore.
Oh, Israel's killing gay people?
Israel's killing Palestinians.
I just want to know, when was there a gay pride parade in Ramallah, in Jenin, in Gaza? What would happen if you had a gay couple living there? How long would they live for?
Israel,
I'm talking about today's values.
Don't be evasive. Values start with human life. And the number one foe of human life in Palestine is the Israeli government.
I just want,
and
Aaron,
their supporters. And we're going to wrap it there. Israel, listen, you've deflected a lot. You've tried to bring up gay rights. It's just such a,
hold on, Aaron. Gay rights are important, no?
Yes,
Western values are important.
Yes,
elections are important. Free elections are important
they are.
To you, right?
And Israel's blocked.
But they don't happen in Palestine. They're not going to happen in Palestinians. You know that.
Okay, Israel, last question for you, and then we'll wrap this up. Do you support the freedom of Marwan Barghouti, the most popular Palestinian leader who's currently in Israeli prison?
He's a freaking murderer.
Okay, all right. So of course you don't.
He's a murderer. What do you want? He should be in jail for murdering people.
Okay.
I don't support any murderer to walk free on the streets.
You couldn't answer my question before of whether or not you support Palestinian self-determination, because you don't. And that's fine. If that's your belief, then that's fine. But Aaron, as long as you believe that, you're not going to have the peace that you claim to seek. If you won't grant people their minimal rights, they will always resist. And let's leave it there.
Aaron, I want to.
No, we're going to wrap it up because
hold on. I'm not attacking you. I'm not attacking you, Aaron. You're a Jewish boy who's misdirected. Listen, Aaron. I want to thank you very much for coming on board. I wish you were before Shalema, and I hope that you will eventually find the light to see, to understand, not hate yourself. I want you to love yourself. Okay,
I want you to love yourself.
I really want you to love yourself and love your people.
I appreciate you being open to having me on. And
yes,
I wish you the best on your continued path towards what you claim to be is your value of human life. I truly do. So thank you for having me.
And I wish you the same thing. And I hope we do get to a place of peace. And I hope that we get to a place that where it doesn't bring it into Western civilization, where I can walk down the street without people stupidity and the stupidity of people calling me names or saying things, where Jews can walk and not have to be worried about because I have my Star of David, I'm going to be attacked, where people aren't going to be attacked in the street for being Jewish. This happened before.
Or for being Muslim, for wearing a hijab. For writing an op-ed critical of Israel, and that gets you deported. That to me is the far more serious threat to civil liberties right now.
I think you generalize and you go to extreme lengths.
Oh, I do.
On spectrums. Of course, because that is the way, that's your defense mechanism.
Okay. Well, I would say the same thing about you, but people can watch this exchange and judge for themselves. Okay. I appreciate you having me on. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I thank everybody for viewing today. When you had the choice to not get involved and not see this, and I appreciate the fact that you spent the time for whatever it is. And like Aaron was saying, let you be the judge. Please comment. Please comment on this episode. It's very, very important. There's a lot of very, very important discussions over here. We both want to hear from you. Is that correct, Aaron? We both want to hear from everybody out there.
Yes, sure. I welcome all commentary. Yes,
I do. I certainly do. And we appreciate you tuning in when you have the choice of tuning out. I am Israel Ellis. This is the Unfiltered View, and I'm here today with Aaron Maté. And thank you, Aaron, for joining us. And let's hope that future generations will take lessons from what has happened today and we'll make the right choices for a future of peace, love, understanding for everybody and all peoples, where all people can live in peace. Thank you, Aaron. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Lieutenant Colonel Jonathan from the IDF here. I am in the Shifa hospital, as you can see from the sign behind me, and as you can clearly see from the building. We are going to do a one-shot video. One shot, no editing, of all of the evidence that we have found just now in this building of the Shifa. So we're inside the MRI center of the Shifa hospital. Israeli troops breached here a few hours ago, and we have cleared the area, make sure that it's safe. And a few of the most interesting things that we have found totally confirm, without any doubt, that Hamas systematically uses hospitals in their military operations in violation of international law. And what we have found, I think, is only the tip of the iceberg. Let me show you a few examples. Security cameras have been obstructed. All of the security cameras are covered, and this isn't the only one. You'll see the rest of them here. Follow me as we go in, and we will see the MRI center and see the weapons that Hamas has hidden inside. This is where patients come in order to get MRI services. We'll proceed through a more secluded area. And the lighting here is out, so we're using flashlights. We're now, as you can see, in an MRI room. I don't know when this was used the last time. But it is definitely an MRI machine. And if you follow me behind the MRI machine, I'll show you what our troops exposed just minutes ago. In military terms, this is a grab bag, grab and go of a Hamas combatant. And if you zoom in and we get some light over here, what you'll be able to see is military equipment. There is an AK-47. There are cartridges, ammo, there are grenades in here, of course, uniform, and all of this was hidden very conveniently, secretly, behind the MRI machine. On the other side, we found a backpack with what appears to be very important intelligence, including a laptop, and we'll show you that momentarily. Let's go see the next room. So we're still in the MRI center. The backpack was found in here, and it was also hidden behind the MRI machine. As you can see, the rest of the equipment here is proper hospital equipment, right? Bandages and medical gear. It seems as if there's no real shortage because there's a lot of equipment here, but we'll leave that for another discussion. Let's go see weapons and other prohibited items. As we walk through the main corridor here, our troops did a preliminary search of the area. We tried to uncover the cameras, but all of the cameras have been obstructed. You can see there's black tape covering it. And when our troops opened this closet here, which is in the main part of the clinic, this is what they found. These weapons have absolutely no business being inside a hospital. The only reason they're here is because Hamas put them here, because they use this place, like many other hospitals and ambulances and sensitive facilities inside the Gaza Strip, for their illicit military purposes. So there's Kalashnikov rifles here, even ammunition. And let's go see the next part of the of what we have here. Another MRI machine. Another MRI machine where behind it we also found contraband similar to what you saw in the other areas. And let's go see the last thing, which is more related to intelligence, which I think we will be able to extract quite a lot of interesting intelligence from. If you can see, follow me, up here on top of a spare part of the MRI department, we found another grab bag. It's empty because we emptied it and cleared it so that we could use and see it. So this is where we found it, and here are the contents of the bag. The contents of the bag are full military kit for one Hamas terrorist. a live grenade, ammunition, fighting vest with insignia, boots, and of course uniforms, and last but not least, standard AK-47. Inside the hospital, hidden in a secluded area, take a look at this door here. Blast-proof door, which is part of the clinic and part of the infrastructure of the hospital. Everything else looks like a hospital, only this part doesn't. Last part. Now you will see something that our Incel researchers are looking into. Hold on, before we go on, let's have a look at what we found inside the very same cabinet that houses medical equipment. You can see all kinds of standard military medical stuff. We found another go-to bag, this bag here. And again, we opened it up in order to make sure that it's safe to touch and show. So please don't give me any of that. You opened it up and you placed it there. This is the bag that we found, and this is the stuff that was in. Now, there's insignia, military insignia, a knife. For those of you who read Arabic, you'll be able to understand what it says here. But it's Hamas, the military wing, Kataib al-Qassam, of course a vest with equipment, and as always, an AK-47, standard gear, grab and go, which they thought would be a good place to store inside a hospital. And the last item, which I'm sure will be very interesting to analyze, is a laptop. We found it in the MRI room. This is how the laptop looks. I don't know who it belonged to, but now it is being analyzed by our Intel people. Tactical radio communications, which we will analyze. Lots of disks, which will be analyzed. And a computer, which at first glance already provides a lot of incriminating evidence.